So, our two new additions. Hi, babies. Hi, babies. Two new baby Chinese gooses. That makes 16. I don't know what I'm going to do with 16 gooses. That's a lot of gooses. But these guys were just too little. They were too young to leave out there in that isolated pond. That's too close to the... it's right there at the edge of the country. There's coyotes and bobcats that come up right there. It's obvious that these two were imprinted pretty heavily to people. They have been relying heavily on human contact and human care, even much more so than my geese here. And that's just evidenced by the fact that I can walk up and pet these guys. They walk over to me. They're friendly. I can pick them up, and they don't really protest that much. And I can't even really do that with my own babies that are just about a month or so older than these guys. And that's just because my other babies that were raised here, that were hatched here, they have a larger flock. They have all these other geese to socialize with. So geese are social, flock animals, and they will socialize to something. They need a flock. So it's either going to be other birds like them, or it'll be people. So in the case of all my others here, they've got their bigger extended family that they have imprinted on and they socialize with. That's their flock, more so than me. They kind of tolerate me and everything, but they're not really affectionate, and coming to seek social interaction with me the way that these two babies here have. So this tells me that these two, they either came from a very small family where whatever household that dumped them, they either had just their mom and dad there with them, maybe a couple of other siblings that, or they could have just been bought at a place like Atwood's or something at Easter, and then the assholes, decided to just dump them, at a pond. That happens all the time too. People buy these from places like Atwood's around Easter, and then when they grow up a little bit, they decide to dump them at some local pond. But when they're this small, it's not just coyotes or bobcats that could get them. It's even a fox or a hawk, which would normally not go after an adult goose. An adult Chinese goose would be a little bit too big for, a fox or a raccoon or most hawks to tangle with. They won't go up against, a full-grown Chinese goose, but they would go after a small one like this. Even when they're adults, they don't often fare well and survive long in places like that. And they may survive if they have humans coming to feed them regularly, but they generally don't thrive, and a lot of times they don't survive very long. And they're not as good on foraging as the wild Canada geese are. They will forage. If there's a grassy field nearby, like I found these guys yesterday, they will forage. It's just that they don't get around. This breed is not used to using their wing muscles very often, to fly. So they generally don't fly. Wild Canada geese will go during the day. They'll take day trips wherever they need to go. They'll find the food. They'll fly somewhere and forage for the day, and then they'll fly back to whatever their little home pond is. But the Chinese geese don't usually do that. I'm happy to see they're These two, they're not taking any crap from the other geese though, which is good. They're you know, they're little, but they're defending themselves. But it's obvious to me that these guys grew up with a lot of imprinting on humans, and they didn't have a larger, you know, goose flock to bond with. So this just makes it even more sad that they were dumped like that, knowing that they may have just been raised together like this, maybe not even with other geese. It certainly appears to me that they grew up maybe even without a set of parents. You know, maybe they had a mom and dad wherever they were, but it's certainly kind of looking like they were imprinted more to people than they were other geese. So, because when you have geese like mine, even though I'm out here taking care of them every day, they've got their flock to socialize with and imprint on. So they're much more imprinted on and more friendly to the other geese in their flock than they are me. And that's what you would see. So the way these guys are responding to me, to humans, tells me they probably were just raised by people and didn't have any other birds where they were. So they were being cared for by people that just decided at a certain age they didn't want them anymore. So just, dump them, and that had to be very, very stressful for them to have somebody just pull their car up and stop and dump them at a pond and drive away.